across a geographic region. There's concentration around the northern region around Delhi, there's concentration along the coastal belt in the south, and there's a relative distribution in the central Rajasthan belt. This pattern would result in long-term urban agglomerations around the northern and the southern clusters. The intensity of environmental impact of each of these regions will be proportionate to the level of urbanization. And in terms of carrying capacity, this is a measure that would have to be taken care of very carefully while developing smart cities. The development areas and townships also spread across 3 climatic zones. The northern zone is the composite climate zone, where you have a very sharp winter, you have a hot summer, and you have a humid season, semi-humid season too. And then you have the hot dry region in the middle, spreading across Rajasthan and Gujarat, and a hot humid region of Maharashtra coast. Now the energy intensity and energy demand per capita for a given standard of living, especially talking about thermal comfort here, is dependent on climatic factors. So if we are looking at what ought to be our benchmarks, the benchmarks are related to climatic factors, and this is something in the design of the cities themselves and regulatory framework that you have in consumption in the city, or consumption of energy in the city, the climatic factors will have to be seen. And this is something that can also be compared globally. Also, there is a geographic variation. In the north zone, you have a high fertility of the land and concentrated population. There is a contradiction there. In the middle zone, you have relatively low fertility of the land and a dispersed population, which is natural. But you have now urban development in that zone. In the southern zone, you have high fertility once again, and again a concentration of population. So we are actually supplanting some of that land, selection of land, and I believe there's been quite a lot of exercise in being very careful about selecting land so that you don't harm local agricultural production. So for sustainable habitation, density and intensity of development will need to be weighed against the carrying capacity of natural systems, looking at this geographic variation. We cannot apply the same rubber stamp solution to each of these regions. Looking at opportunities now, development of sustainable urbanization. The environmental rationale for location of urban industrial zone, which I briefly discussed, is an important one. It is not only to do with connection to the corridor, but along the corridor there is a variation of opportunity according to the geography and climate, availability of water, and quality of land. Each of these will have to be applied to in actually selecting the location where development happens. And principles and guidelines for each urban and industrial zone will be specific to its climate and geography. Climate planning and developmental controls will be based on sustainability targets. And Ms. Majumdar has already elaborated on that. And energy and water policy and tariff structures will be there to ensure efficiency and conservation. So I think there's a governance issue here which I want to point out in setting up the townships, where it is not only the technology and the efficiencies that the technology can deliver, it is also a matter of legislation that will control eventually the level of consumption. In urban design and the fabric of the cities, a lot of research is yet to be done in finding a balance in the urban ecology.